2024 CAF Awards are over. They took place this Monday evening in Marrakesh, Morocco. And big congratulations in particular to Nigeria's Ademola Lookman and Zambia's Barbara Banda, who were respectively male and female player of the year. As I mentioned in previous videos, I'm sometimes invited to vote for these awards, and I was invited to vote for these 2024 awards. And as a result, I just wanted to take the time to do a quick reaction video, basically to speak about some of my choices, who I voted for, who I didn't vote for, who I thought was deserving, and who I thought wasn't deserving of their nominations or awards. Um, and I was only invited to vote for the male nominees, which I think is correct because I don't follow the female game enough, in my opinion, to properly vote for them. Um, let's start with the top. I outlined in a previous video on this very channel that I would vote for Ademola Lookman if I was given the opportunity, and that's exactly what I did. I voted Ademola Lookman for first place, and so I definitely think he's deserving of the award. I don't even think that there's an argument against him. The next in line for me would be Ciro Girassi, and that's who I voted for in second place. But as impressive as Ciro Girassi's club statistics were, Ademola Lookman's is pretty much on the same level, and then you have to add Ademola Lookman's AFCON performance as well, where he helped Nigeria finish second, only to Cote d'Ivoire. Um, so yeah, for me it was a clear 1-2, and then the third place was a toss-up for me between Chancel Mbemba, Edmund Tapsoba, and Ashraf Hakimi. I believe looking back now, I probably would have voted for Ashraf Hakimi, but I believe I voted for Chancel Mbemba at the time, simply because I was told to vote from, I believe, January to October. And Mbemba had only been out of uh, competition really for about a month and a half. And I thought that he was so good at the AFCON. He was better at the AFCON than Hakimi and Tapsoba. And the rest of the first half of his calendar year was, at the club level, was just as good as Tapsoba and Hakimi. So looking back now, if I had to vote on it from 1st of January to 16th of December, I would probably vote for Hakimi, um, and then Tapsoba, and then Mbemba. But believe at the time, my votes were Lookman, Girassi, and Mbemba. For the Young Player of the Year, Lamine Camara won it for a second year running. Congratulations to him. He's a player that I've been following since the African Nations Championship in Algeria in 2022. Um, and there's even videos on this channel. I was making match compilations of him. I love this player. I think he's going to be a future superstar. And I voted actually for Yankuba Minte from the Gambia and Brighton as the Young Player of the Year. Lamine Camara was my second choice, and then Amenlah Mimish, Esperance de Tunis's goalkeeper, was my third choice. And my rationale behind it was, if you watch Yankuba Minte play for the Gambia in particular, and I watched him a lot September and October and even in November, um, you'll realize that he's the best kept secret in Africa. People know that he's a talented, young, promising player, but it goes beyond that. What he does with the football is absolutely spectacular. He is the reason why the Gambia were doing what they were doing. Whereas that's not necessarily the case for Lamine Camara. Lamine Camara is a piece in a cog, because Senegal have so much talent and so much quality everywhere else. And so it was, for me, it was razor thin between the two. I understand voting for Lamine Camara because he had a better AFCON. He scored 2 goals in the group stages. Minte played at the AFCON and he played well, but the Gambia unfortunately were eliminated, unfortunately for them, in the group stages. And so for me, it was a toss up between those two. And Kuba then had a great end of the first 6 months with Feyenoord, gets the big move to Brighton, up and down start in the Premier League, has scored some goals, but hasn't been a consistent starter for Brighton, whereas Lamine Camara has been a consistent starter for Monaco since he made the move there. Um, Evan Lahmimish, I think, just young player. Last year in the CAF Champions League, I mean, you guys, if you follow this channel, I think he only had one match where he didn't have a clean sheet in the CAF Champions League. I believe it was 9 out of 10. I have the statistics. Hold on, let me give you the statistics for Eman Lahmimish. Um, In CAF Champions League, 7 out of 8 clean sheets. He only conceded one goal, and that was in the CAF Champions League final. And overall, from the period that I voted from January to October, 15 out of 28 clean sheets for the youngster out of Tunisia. Gets called up to the senior national team as well. So big year for him as well. So again, I don't have any problem with people voting for Lamine Camara here. I think looking back on it, I could absolutely vote for him too, but I personally voted for Minte. For the Interclub's Player of the Year, this one went to Ronwen Williams. And this is a weird one because what do you mean by Interclub's Player of the Year? And here's where I think CAF has to do a better job because they just give you links to vote for players and there's no criteria. And as a result, everybody interpret things differently. What I understood and looking back on it, I don't think is I interpreted it correctly is I understood it as a player based in Africa, and then you take into account everything. So CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup, league title influence, cups, everything. African Football League. Actually, African Football League was last year, but basically all the competitions possible. And that's why I voted for Rodman Williams because I thought he was, um, you know, that impressive there. I think I voted for Zizou from Zamalek after that, and Hussein Shahat from Al Ahly, and then Issoufou Dayo from Burkina Faso and RS Berkane. So honestly, looking back on it now, like I said, I don't think Ronwen Williams was spectacular in the CAF Champions League last year. I think he was good, and he must have been absolutely incredible in the Premier Soccer League. Uh, he had 21 clean sheets out of 44. Um, he did a great job in the PSL, not so much in the Nedbank Cup last year. Um, and this year he got off to a really great start as well, especially with some of those assists that he was giving in the CAF Champions League. But I hadn't counted those because I voted prior to seeing those assists in the CAF Champions League in the group stages. So looking back on it, I don't think I would have voted for Ronwin as Interclub's Player of the Year if I'm weighting the CAF Champions League more heavily. I mean, the interclub competitions, CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup, more than the other stuff. If we're not supposed to be counting the league and other competitions, the cups, then he doesn't deserve it in my opinion. But if we look at it all as a whole and even put the AFCON into it and everything, then I do think he's deserving of it. So that's one of the criticisms here for CAF is that they need to do a better job of defining criteria for all of the categories and then what should we as voters be paying attention to? And some people would say no, leave it up to complete interpretation. That's fine too. But me, I'm starting to warm to the idea of give us some guidance, right? Should we weigh the AFCON more heavily than club level? How should we weigh other competitions like the Olympic Games or the African Football League or anything like that, you know? Goalkeeper of the year, I had Ronwen Williams number one. What was crazy to me was that they had Yahya Fofana and Andre Onana as the other nominees here. Like that. And here's where, somebody in my colleague from South Africa, Jabalu Ngidi, said the problem with, a lot of people that vote for these awards is they don't watch African football. I think it's absolutely right. For me, like if you did a little bit of homework and you lined up all of the nominee statistics, I don't understand how you can get to Yahya Fofana and Onana as the second and third nominee behind Aaron Williams as goalkeeper of the year because Onana had 10 clean sheets out of 35. He was poor at the AFCON. Remember, he came late and then he was benched. The only match he played in, he was horrible. He only had 3 out of 18 clean sheets in the Premier League when he went back after the AFCON. Didn't start this year necessarily great. Not horrible, but not great. And Yahya Fofana had like barely any clean sheets as well in French League Two last year, but he had a decent AFCON. But for me, those two never, ever, ever deserve a place over Stanley Nwabali, Emmanuel Memish, Mustafa Shubair, Al backup goalkeeper. Jiggy Diarra had 35 clean sheets, the most out of any um, African goalkeeper all of last year. Honestly, even Munir Al-Qajri, the backup Moroccan goalkeeper, who was the goalkeeper at the Olympic Games, I thought had a better year than Fofana and Onana. The only goalkeeper that I think had a worse year than them two that was in the original long list of 10 names was Lionel Mpasi, and I think he was just there because he was the goalkeeper for DRC when they qualified to the semifinals. So um, that one was completely. I mean, thankfully, Ronwen Williams did win, and that's who I voted for. But it was very disappointing to see who else was nominated in the final shortlist. The club of the year, I had Al Ahly, and then I had Esperance and Zamalek. Um, there was, I think, Al Ahly, Zamalek, and Sundowns. I don't understand how Sundowns was nominated over Esperance because Esperance made it to the CAF Champions League final, Sundowns to the semi-final. Sundowns were PSL champions, Esperance were Tunisian champions. Um, and then the AFL doesn't count. So what are we basing? Sundowns didn't win any other competitions. How can we vote for Sundowns over Esperance? I don't understand that. Um, yeah, but anyways, I voted for Al Ahly anyway. The Ahly had Egyptian Premier League, Egyptian Cup, CAF Champions League, Egyptian Super Cup, and they participated in the Club World Cup. Nobody even came close to it, in my opinion. The national team of the year, I also had Cote d'Ivoire first, and they ended up winning it. I had South Africa second and Nigeria third. Um, so I was okay with most of the nominees here. But yeah, I had Cote d'Ivoire and they ended up winning it. Coach of the year, I also had Emers Faye. He won the AFCON. And what I liked about Emers Faye is that his coaching, you could tell, made a difference. He came in and he completely changed the fortunes of the Ivory Coast. It's not like, the criticism against Aliou Cisse that anybody could do the job. No, the team was going this way. Emers Faye came in and they started going this way. And even during the matches, his substitutes were the ones that were making a difference. I had Marcel Kohler and Kwesi Appiah as my second and third place, but then immediately after that, I had Hugo Bruce and Sebastian December. So I understand those two choices as well. And yeah, those were my choices for the CAF awards. But overall, I think, look, I'm very happy for Ademola Lookman, somebody that I remember watching him at Fulham years back, thinking, "God, he's decent," but I never, ever in a million years thought he would be performing the way he has this year. Um, and even particularly at the beginning of this particular year, this season, he's been, I think I saw a statistic that said 11 goals in 19 matches or something like that. I think Atalanta were leading Serie A the last time I checked. Um, I love that player, and I think he does a great job filling in right behind Osimhen in those half spaces. Um, and yeah, all the credit to Nigeria. They need, in my opinion, like this only increases my expectations for them, but I don't see any other name that we could have argued that deserved African Player of the Year, Male Player of the Year. Cyril Girassi, like I said, was fantastic, but he was unfortunately injured at the AFCON, and essentially that's what made it a surefire thing for Ademola Lookman. So yeah, overall though, happy to see, like I said, Lookman win. Happy for everybody that won. Some of these were, great people like Lamine Kamara, just such a good guy. Ronald Williams, such a good guy. Um, Al Ahly, I love the speech for Al Ahly where the guy said, really looking forward to coming back here next year and winning this award again. That just completely encapsulates the Al Ahly mentality. Very happy for Emers Faye. I thought it was very endearing how he shouted out his wife and his daughter. He talked about the pressure that he was under. So yeah, just overall, I think a successful, good night for African football. Very happy for all of the winners, and yeah, let's have us another good year in the year coming up. Thanks for watching. It's just a quick reaction video, and we'll be back actually later on this week to discuss an article that was up on africasaCountry.com regarding sexual violence in football in general. So I think if you guys are up for that, that'll be up later this week. And then this weekend, I think we're back in the CAF Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. So no rest for the wicked. Speak to you all very, very soon.